Hey, double hey, San Francisco Bay, Monterey. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
And we're back with another episode of Your Healthy Living. Here we go, having fun. We had had a great show last week. Actually, we had two great shows last week. We did. We got another great show today.
Yes, we
I
do.
know we wanted to make everybody know. Well, actually, we are on Channel 15 here in the local Campbell, San Jose area.
Yes, at 6:30 Monday nights.
We're also going to be on, starting in about 2 months, we're going to be on in Santa Cruz. So we got Santa Cruz coming up.
That's great.
And I'm actually going down to Orange County this week after I go to the National Association of Broadcasters. And we're looking at either Laguna Beach, Huntington Beach, or possibly Dana Point. So
wonderful.
Those are kind of those first three towns we want to get into.
Yeah.
Primarily, of course, because we have that connection with the Money Concepts reps down there. So we already have an established listenership, if you will. So stay tuned if you're watching down in that area too.
And I think it's so great that this is a Kindness in Your Soul radio TV
KIYS,
network.
That's
and
what
we
it
have
stands for.
somebody here today named Marc Landgraf, who serves as the External Affair Manager at the Authority, and that role leads their community engagement team. He has worked in the land conservation field for over 14 years, including 3 years at the Trust for Public Land and 7 years at Peninsula Open Space Trust. Marc was a design engineer manager at Intel Corporation. Marc loves spending time with his family outdoors, hiking, biking, and cross-country skiing, and has spearheaded over hundreds of millions of dollars in getting open space preserved so that people can go out and enjoy nature.
What an interesting shift, going from Intel to running around the countryside kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of shifting from Silicon real estate to the real estate,
out in the world. To Silicon Valley.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
That. That's pretty cool.
No, but it's been a really good transition. I love what I do, and I really enjoy seeing kids' faces when they're outdoors, That gives me such pleasure.
Well, and it's especially here in the Bay Area. I mean, I've been here. I grew up in Iowa, of course. Talk about open space. I mean, there was a cornfield across the street from my house, and I lived in town. But you start to see what's happened here over the last 40 years almost that I've been here, and you start to go, hey, we need to figure out what to do. I love the fact, of course, we live kind of right here in that Los Gatos Campbell area, very near the studios, and it's kind of nice to be able to go out and hit the Los Gatos Creek Trail, and you're in the mountains, on your bicycle in 10 minutes. And you can be down at the airport in probably 25 with all these trails. And I know that's one of the main things that the Open Space Authority does. Right?
Oh, that's right. And, we have such a great network of trails here, like you're talking about, Los Gatos Creek Trail, Guadalupe River Trail, and those opportunities are so important for especially folks that live in the urban areas to have available to them. But, those things don't come on their own. We've got to go out there and protect those areas, manage them, make sure we add to it over time, because we keep getting more people in the area too.
Right.
Well, and I think it's a good cause for a lot of the people that have come here. And I think having so many people here in the Bay Area, it makes sense because it doesn't cost a lot. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later about how that whole system works, because it takes money to build these things.
That's right.
Does.
And there's some exciting projects too. I know you guys are coming up with. And we're going to be talking about that here just shortly.
Is very important and very exciting.
Especially if you like exercise and like to get outside.
And fresh air.
So we'll be right back after this short commercial break with Your Healthy Living. I'm Alex Andrew.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
At Way of Wellness, we help to rebalance the hormones of your body so that it can heal itself. Way of Wellness offers acupuncture, Chinese medicine, functional nutrition, Chi Yoga, and wellness coaching. Call 408-615-1995 and start living the life that keeps us well.
Hey, double hey, San Francisco Bay, Monterey. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
And we're back with Your Healthy Living, talking with Marc Landgraf,
Yes.
not land grab. We already got that one down, which is really cool, though, because I have a special place in my heart for what you guys are trying to do, because
Me too.
Me and the other half of my family, which comes from Indiana, is used to being able to just, go out the front door and drive down the gravel road and drop a line into the pond.
Yeah.
And you just don't, see that everywhere around here in the Bay Area. But it's such a beautiful place.
Yes.
And
It's
we have
very
all these
beautiful.
mountains around here. So, and I know you're
I
like
grew up-
Mrs. Hiker,
There's like
phenomenal. Here.
200 people in my entire town, and you had to ride your bike 5 miles up the river to see one friend, or 5 miles down the road to see your other friend. So for me, trees and nature were my backyard, and I crave it and I need it, and I do go to parks all the time, and I'm so happy that you're here and that you are spearheading, helping preserve this land for the future children and people to participate. I know San Jose just got voted top 6th happiest city in the country, and I know a lot of that is being able to be outside and being healthy and being fit.
That's right. That's a really important aspect to being happy and healthy, is not just having opportunities for outdoor recreation, because we all know exercise is really important, but just getting exposure to nature. That's so important. And more studies are showing that even just a 15 or 20-minute exposure to nature, like in the middle of your working day, helps reduce stress. I don't know if you know Frederick Law Olmsted, a landscape architect back in 1865. He was working for protection of Yosemite Valley.
He's old.
He's pretty old by now, right? But he said at that time, it's a fact of science that people need nature for health and a vigorous lifestyle. 150 years later, studies are showing that over and over again, that's really true.
Well, that's a grounding aspect.
Have you heard about the tree bathing in Japan? The tree bathing, they actually make it mandatory that everybody needs to go out into the parks and be in the trees. They find that there are pharmaceutical type things that come off of the trees that actually help your immune system, and they require their
I feel like I'm back in the 70s again.
Well, no,
have you heard about it? It's called tree bathing.
I haven't heard of that, no,
It's
but I
very
have
important.
heard that Stanford University 3 years ago did a study of people walking on campus at Stanford through the trees, comparing that to people walking in town on a busy street, and then they did brain scans, and they showed that the brain responded so positively to being in nature that it actually reduced the activity in parts of the brain that are associated with depression.
Yeah.
If you're out in the trees.
It makes sense. McKenna's the tree queen too. I don't know if you know it, but we
I
get her.
didn't know that.
She always knows what she's getting for Christmas. It has something to do with a tree, whether it's a tree
Aw.
necklace or a tree outfit or
That's
something.
Andy's daughter, for those of you who don't know.
She's
She is our
video
director.
doing a good job
And
out there. But it's
my-
true.
I-
It's so true.
I believe it. Mike Sinclair, who owns Specialized Bikes, has put together a study at Stanford also on children riding bikes outside and how it greatly has enhanced decreasing ADHD and their focus.
That's
And
right.
so have you heard about that study?
Yeah.
So
It helps kids a lot with focus, just
so
being out in
important.
nature and being outdoors. So if I may, I could
Yeah.
say a little bit about what our agency does, and then talk about how we provide so many opportunities for healthful living in the area.
That'd be
that's
great.
Because our agency does a lot of different things. We are one of our main points of our mission is to conserve the natural resources. So for land for wildlife, for clean creeks and trees in the region. We protect endangered species. In the immediate area here, it's amazing how many endangered species we have around us. We also support agriculture in the area, and then we also provide ways for people to connect to nature. And it's that last part that I'm especially involved in, and that we spend a lot of our effort trying to foster. As we were just talking about, healthful living means being able to exercise, especially when it can be done outdoors, but just having exposure to nature. And with such a big urban population here in the area, it's really, really critical that we have places for people close to home that where they can access nature and be with their families outside.
Very much so.
Yeah, and so we support through our grant programs, for instance, opportunities for people to be outside in their neighborhoods. We do that through our grant program and support projects like Bill's Backyard at the Children's Discovery Museum. It gives families and kids a safe place to be outside if they're not familiar with it, and kind of make the transition so that they'd be more comfortable going to one of our preserves that we also operate more in the peripheral areas around the urban
Is that
zone.
free for children to go to, for children and families to go to? Bill's
Backyard? Well, they do ask for a donation, but Children's Discovery Museum is great in that if people say that they can't afford to pay like an entrance fee, they'll let them in for free.
It's a cool place. It's
really
cool. The kids have been there, and there's just some really neat stuff, which actually talks about nature and backyard, lightning, all sorts of different, programs they have. So I would say, and it's right there, right off of 87 and 280.
That's
There's
right.
downtown.
It's a big purple building, right?
Yeah, I've taken my son there a lot of times. He loves it.
They used to have a duck or something on top of it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The
that
big
you could see from the
ducks,
highway.
yeah,
Right.
sitting on top of it or something. But
I like that.
But I think
My
that's
son loved
important,
it too.
especially with the city kids, that we have. You kind of get into the down. I will have to say though, we're pretty lucky to be here in the Bay Area. If you think about it, I mean, myself growing up in the Midwest in the wintertime, when it's 30 below zero, for 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, you don't really get out that much.
Right.
Where here, year round, of course, it might be raining, 3 or 4 days a week, but we really have an opportunity to be able to do that.
That's right.
And having a program like this to be able to allow us to, to make it easy access for people in the city, I think is huge.
Yeah, and you have a couple other grants that you also help.
Yeah, so
fostered?
we have several grant programs, and each of those programs fund several projects with nonprofit and public agency partners. So Bill's Backyard was one example. We also recently funded a Master Gardeners Education Center at Marshall-Cottle County Park. That is a terrific way to educate people about what they can grow in their own backyards.
Oh, wonderful.
And then we've also recently funded the Guadalupe River Parks Conservancy. They bring kids from Title I schools, underserved communities on field trips out to Guadalupe River. They can play in the water, they can learn about nature, and get that experience that is so hard to get in, a lot of the schools where they don't have money for field trips, especially.
Gosh,
Isn't the trail have something to do with Guadalupe River? Or I mean, where does that go? Because I know it starts up here, kind of at in Los Gatos, comes down to look at Los Gatos Creek. Does that turn into Guadalupe? Because it's connected somehow, isn't it?
That is a good question, and there are a lot of people working on connecting all those trails.
Oh, okay.
So there are 3 major creeks in the Silicon Valley area, at least in our part of it, the western and southern part. There's Los Gatos Creek Trail, there's the Guadalupe River, and then Coyote Creek Trail further to the east.
Oh, okay, right.
And the city of San Jose is working, and with us, we're helping to fund it. 3 Creeks Trail, it's called, that connects the 3 of them together.
Oh, wow,
really?
that's
Okay.
really great.
So then you'll be able to get from the Mount Lexington Reservoir all the way to the bay in one link.
And then back up to Coyote Valley if you wanted to. That's right.
Wow.
And having those interconnected networks of trails is so helpful because people want to go different places. And then they can also use those trails to get to school, to get to work. And that adds another opportunity to be more helpful.
Now, do the cities work with you guys? I got to guess you're a county organization, right?
No, we're an independent special district.
Oh, okay.
We were formed 25 years ago by citizen activists who just saw a need to protect a green belt around the urban areas and protect those natural resources. And we work very closely with county parks, but we are not part of the county.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So how do you deal with the cities in that? Do you ever get any pushback from cities or anything like that? I'm sorry, I don't mean to go off script here, but...
No, actually, we got a lot of participation from the cities.
Really?
We
Okay.
work really closely with the city of San Jose. We just entered into a partnership agreement because their historic Alum Rock Park in East San Jose
Right.
gets a lot of visitation. It's a wonderful park. Our Sierra Vista Open Space Preserve is just uphill and has trails that connect between the 2 parks.
Oh, really?
And so we signed a management agreement where we share resources, we make it more efficient so that less taxpayer dollars are spent, and people have an easier way to get back and forth between the trails.
That's really
great.
cool to be able to do that because I know I can't even keep up with you on the trail. I'm going to guess.
hike
We
all
haven't
the
been
time.
hiking. First, you got to poke me with those needles you do with acupuncture, and then I'll probably be able to keep up with you.
Well, actually, one place I can recommend to go is up on Coyote Ridge. So it's an area just south of San Jose, just east of 101, where there's some great wildflowers blooming right now.
That's cool, man. Well, we're going to be talking a little bit more about how all this stuff works together right after this commercial break. So stay tuned to KIYS Radio and Your Healthy Living.
I do traditional Chinese medicine, and that includes 5 different branches: acupuncture, massage, yoga, tai chi, qigong, herbal medicine, and nutrition. It is amazing in helping the body heal itself, that it releases the body's natural endorphins, serotonin, and seems to rebalance the hormones of the body.
Lower back pain was taken care of very quickly, 6 treatments, and I was pain-free. And this was like 3 years ago, and I've remained pain-free.
I've grown up in the Bay Area, and I have had my own practice for over 15 years. When I was 12, I decided I want to be an acupuncturist, and by the time I was 25, I was licensed.
I have thyroid condition and stress, big time. When I walk out, I'm feeling like a whole different person. It's definitely a blessing to be able to come here.
I love helping women have babies, and the day that they actually get pregnant, the look in their eye is like it's the best thing ever.
I've been struggling trying to get pregnant for the past 3 or 4 years. I came to Shasta. I would totally recommend her to anyone out there that is trying to get pregnant. She will do great for you.
Way of wellness has to do with living a life that keeps us well.
Hi there, this is Alexander with It's All About the Show. You know, I've been with Money Concepts since 1994, and they have been the primary catalyst for my success as a financial advisor. If you're looking for a career change and you want to help people for a living, check out moneyconcepts.com/ALEE or call 946-8378 today.
Hey, double hey, San Francisco Bay, Monterey. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
And we're back.
Yes, we have Marc Landgraf here.
This is fun.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? This is a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. Nothing against you or anything.
Oh, jeez.
No, really. I was just thinking, wow, we're going to be talking about land. Okay.
Oh,
well,
no, we're talking about playing outside in
yes,
nature.
well, that is true.
That's
you know
the
what?
most
it's
fun
like
thing to
we aren't
do.
even working today. We're on recess.
Yeah, we're on recess
right?
right now.
This
And
is
we're talking
great.
about people being outside, being on recess.
That's right.
Playing
That's
outside.
right.
As my
And
yoga
grounding.
teacher. My yoga teacher, Baba Hari Das from Mount Madonna Center,
Easy
the
for you to say.
biggest retreat center on the whole West Coast, said to me and everyone growing up, we should live equal rest, equal work, and equal play.
There you go.
So
Balance.
playing outside has so many health benefits, and that is what your organization helps with.
That's right.
So we'd like to know, how does the Open Space Authority decide where to focus its efforts?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because we focus our efforts on natural resource conservation. That means protecting the wildlife and the trees, and we do that through something called the Valley Greenprint. It's sort of our conservation plan for the whole region. And, you know, when we protect the natural environment around us, it means we can breathe easier because we have cleaner air. It means we can drink cleaner water. It means we have healthy food available through the local agriculture, right? All that is extremely important. In addition to that, we focus some of our efforts on ways for people to connect to nature by being outside. And one way we've prioritized how to, you know, serve the 1.2 million people in our jurisdiction, right? There are a lot of people out there that live in the urban areas.
Yeah.
Is 3 years ago we did this study called Understanding Our Community. It's an assessment of the demographics within our community, where people live, what barriers they have to accessing nature. So those barriers can be anything from lack of private transportation, language barriers, cultural barriers, income barriers. All those things contribute to people not being able to get outside with their families very much. And so we've mapped all of that and determined focus areas within the urban core.
Wow. I'm going to run off script
That's
again. Now, you were
wonderful.
talking about barriers. I got to guess there's certain areas in certain parts that you that you kind of allow or create a system for handicapped people to be able to get around. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
got to be tough with a wheelchair. I mean, it's not. You can't really go mountain climbing, but you know, are there certain
what
designations for that, or I mean, how do you kind of fit that into the mold?
Well, so those are called ADA accessible trails
Okay.
for American Disabilities Act. And yeah, we do have one of those trails at one of our preserves. We're building more over time. But the county park system, city parks in San Jose and Santa Clara and Campbell, they all have a lot of terrific trails for people with disabilities.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
you had mentioned that there is a big Bay Area Ridge Trail that is being built right now. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, we are partnering with the Bay Area Ridge Trail Council that's developing a 400-mile trail, 400-plus mile trail around the entire Bay Area. So that's going up to Napa, Contra Costa, Alameda counties, and then comes through Santa Clara County as well, mostly along the ridge tops, but may come through Coyote Valley or across the Pajaro Valley down by Gilroy to then get into the Santa Cruz Mountains. And we've provided funding on a number of occasions and do work ourselves on our own preserves to help expand that trail system. It's a really
Is that
exciting
going to have camping?
Yeah, that's what I was
camp
going to
out Where
ask.
people can camp
What a
along the
great!
way?
So you can take a week off and hike around the Bay
420
Area.
miles.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah,
Really
there's some places where you can camp. We're going to, over time, start developing some camping places on our own lands too. Yeah.
Great. Good. I think that's good to get people out and learning how to live off nature,
Yeah.
live on the land,
Well,
build
and
a fire.
And it makes it easy and inexpensive to go, camping. It's not like
Right.
What a great idea.
It's less expensive than other forms of travel, but still with a lot of people in communities where there's not much money available, they don't even have money to buy gear.
Right.
And so one of the programs that we fund is with the Bay Area Wilderness Training. It's a nonprofit out of San Francisco, but they've set up shop here in Santa Clara County. And they provide training to teachers and youth group leaders to bring kids out into nature and camp overnight. And they have this massive gear library in Milpitas where they provide gear at no cost to the students to
That is so
let
awesome.
them take part.
Would the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts be participating in that?
They could. They tend to have funding for the most part, as far as I'm aware. But I'm sure they would be welcome. They're certainly welcome on our preserves. But the groups that are especially important to Bay Area Wilderness Training, I know, are those underserved communities where there aren't funds available.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, if I can add something to that
Yeah,
too. I mean,
please.
because of some of these barriers, we also try to do really special educational programs that just get people outside that otherwise wouldn't be inclined to, so they get exposed to the outdoors,
Yeah.
And one of my favorite programs is a Bollywood dance program that we do out at Marshall Cottle Park with a local nonprofit. People go out there because they love Bollywood dancing.
Right.
Wonderful.
Or we have a Tai Chi dance program at Don Edwards National Wildlife Refuge. We've done a program with Acoma Arts that does drumming outside and gets people to just enjoy the outdoors.
Oh my gosh. And all of this can be found on your website so people can see where to go and join if they want?
Yeah, we have the events listed on our website. We also have presence on Facebook so people can go there and sign up for our activities.
Okay.
They can also volunteer for the Open Space Authority. You can follow us on Facebook. You can come out to our offices in South San Jose and check us out and talk with us.
Can people volunteer? Do the youth volunteer in the summer with you? Do you have that type of a thing too of people working with you?
Yeah. In fact, last fall we had 200 freshman students from Harker Academy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, do trail work out at our Coyote Valley Preserve. They all got shovels and gloves and were put to work out there
That's
for an
great.
entire day. They did
I love it.
awesome work.
That's so
How
great.
fun. So, and what is the website for those that might want to check out the website and see how they might be able to get involved?
Yeah, the website is simply openspaceauthority.org.
And you
Open space.
mentioned that the first thing you mentioned was your agency is conserve the natural environment. Other than for recreation and mental health, why is conservation important?
Yeah, there's so many areas around us that are at risk of being developed. And certainly we need homes, we need jobs, all of that. But we do have to balance that with preserving some of our open spaces for the natural environment. And as we were talking about, preserving the waterways, preserving the natural lands help keep the air clean and the water flowing, and recharging our groundwater, which during a time of drought is so
Right.
important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If it's paved over, then that doesn't happen. So we got to make sure that
Very
continues as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things I always look at when I'm thinking about buying a place, somewhere outside the Bay Area. I'm thinking, you know what, maybe Montana, maybe somewhere where there's not so many people, where the water runs off the mountains, and of course you got to worry about other bacteria and stuff. But having clean water, especially here in the Bay Area,
Right.
California in general. I mean, I think we're only at 70% so far of our precipitation.
I'm not
last
sure.
year?
This
I
year.
don't know.
But climate is going to change probably in both directions. Sometimes we're going to get more water, sometimes less. But so we got to have more of those natural lands and even agricultural lands to capture water, so that we have it for the drought. Right.
Yeah, I worry about that. I think capturing the water has kind of gone by the wayside a little bit. We really need to have that water stay here instead of getting run off the mountains and into the oceans, and I think a lot of that open space is something that can assist with that.
Well, it certainly can assist with the recharging groundwater, but then also it helps spread floodwaters when there's a big storm. Like, remember last February and parts of downtown San Jose tragically flooded and invaded people's homes, and floodwater spreading like up in Coyote Valley.
That was pretty bad last year.
Right, but if it can spread in those highland areas, then it doesn't provide as much water to flood the downtown areas.
Yeah, growing up in the Midwest in a river town, believe you me, the 100-year flood, you see the guys rowing down Main Street in a garbage bin. It's crazy. But no, I think it's really cool. And the website, again, I mean, if they need, is there any other access? Do they have, is there a phone number, an email address to touch base with somebody on this?
The website's pretty much a one-stop shop. You can go there, and it's openspaceauthority.org. And that's where we have all the information about our activities, our volunteer opportunities, our education programs, if somebody wants to apply for a grant, or if they want to see who we've granted money to check out one of their programs and participate. All sorts of ways to go.
Do you have a PDF version of this magazine? You show that to everybody again?
Yeah. Understanding Our Community is our community assessment report, and we will post a picture of that and provide a link directly to that as well.
That's really cool.
It's really, really, I mean, this gives a positive alternative for children to get off the television and off their computers.
Off their computers.
Get outside and play.
And start communicating in a real way, right?
and experience themselves and their body in nature and see what they can do.
We do that to our kids all the time, man.
Yeah, and experience
the
health benefits, right? It's so
important. Get your bare feet on the ground and ground it and hug a tree.
And go build the fort.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you
so much, Mark. We really appreciate it.
I really appreciate what you're doing.
Don't forget to tune in to our KIYSradio.com website to check out all our shows and all our programs, even the one here on Your Healthy Living. I want to thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Santa Clara Open Space Authority. And we'll catch you next week on Your Healthy Living. KIYS Radio, the Kindness in Your Soul Network. Take care. Bye-bye.